Chronicles of the Pupil Spirits. In Chang'an, there lived a scholar named Fang Dong who enjoyed considerable fame for his literary talent, yet was frivolous by nature and disregarded social proprieties. Whenever he encountered young ladies traveling on the road, he would invariably follow them with improper intent. On the eve of the Qingming festival, while strolling in the suburban outskirts, he came upon a small carriage adorned with vermilion curtains and embroidered drapes, accompanied by several maidservants riding horses at a leisurely pace. Among them was a particularly beautiful maid riding a small horse. As Fang Dong edged closer to steal a glance, the carriage curtains suddenly parted wide, revealing a 16-year-old maiden in resplendent red attire, a beauty surpassing anything he had ever witnessed in his life. Dazzled and enthralled, Fang Dong trailed after the carriage obsessively, darting back and forth behind it for several miles. Suddenly, he heard the maiden summon her maid to the carriage side, her voice sharp with indignation. "Lower the curtain for me. Where did this insolent rogue come from, spying on us incessantly?" The maid promptly drew the curtain and glared furiously at Fang Dong. "This is the bride of the 7th Prince of Hibiscus City returning to her parents, not some common village lass for scholars to leer at." With those words, she scooped up dirt from the carriage wheel rut and flung at Fang Dong. Blinded by the grit, Fang Dong could not open his eyes. No sooner had he wiped them than the entire procession vanished without any trace. Stunned and bewildered, he made his way home alone. His eyes remained persistently uncomfortable. When he had someone lift his eyelids for examination, they discovered a thin haze had formed over his pupils. Overnight, the condition worsened drastically, tears streamed down incessantly like falling beads. The ocular film gradually thickened until, after several days, it attained the density of a copper coin. A spiral protrusion even emerged on his right eyeball, defying all medicinal treatments. Consumed by anguish and remorse, he resolved to repent his transgressions in earnest. Upon hearing that the Sutra of Radiant Light dispel calamities, he obtained a scroll and entreated others to instruct him in its recitation. Though restlessness plagued him initially, perseverance gradually brought tranquility. At dawn and dusk during idle hours, he would sit cross-legged in meditation, fingers moving over Buddhist beads. Sustaining this ascetic discipline for a year, all worldly distractions finally dissipated like mist. Suddenly, a gossamer thin voice like a fly's buzzing emanated from his right eye. "Pitch black in here. Suffocating beyond endurance." A voice from the left eye responded, "Let's venture out to shake off this gloom." Gradually, he felt ticklish wriggling in his nostrils as if tiny creatures were crawling out. They slipped through the nasal passages, vanishing for what seemed an age before returning to burrow back into the eye sockets through the same route. He then heard them lament, "How long it's been since we visited the garden. The pearl orchids have all withered away." Fang Dong had always cherished fragrant orchids, cultivating numerous specimens in his garden which he personally tended with daily watering. Since losing his eyesight, however, the plants had long been neglected. Startled by the mysterious revelation, he urgently asked his wife, "How could my orchids have withered?" When she countered by demanding how he could possibly know this. He recounted the uncanny incidents. His wife hastened to the garden to verify, only to find the orchids indeed withered away, leaving her utterly astounded. Hiding silently in the chamber, Fang Dong's wife witnessed minuscule humanoids emerging from his nostrils, each no larger than a bean. Emitting faint hums, they flew out past the threshold, dwindling into the distance until vanishing from sight. Within moments, the pair returned hand in hand, darting back to his face with the purposefulness of homing bees. This spectral procession recurred for 2 to 3 consecutive days. Then came the voice of the left eye being, "This winding passage is far too tortuous, back and forth we trudge. Let us carve out our own gateway." The right eye entity replied resignedly, "My wall stands impenetrably thick, excavation proves impossible here. Allow me to breach a portal," insisted the left, "that we may venture forth together." Suddenly, Fang Dong felt a rending sensation in his left ocular socket, as though claws were tearing through tissue. When he tentatively opened his eyes moments later, the furnishings on his table materialized before him with startling clarity. Overjoyed, he shared the miraculous news with his wife. She examined his eyes meticulously, discovering a minute rupture in the corneal haze that had once shrouded his pupil, now gleaming like a split Sichuan peppercorn's ebony seed. By dawn, the obscuring membrane had dissolved entirely. Upon closer inspection, she gasped at the emergence of duplicated pupils in his left eye, though the spiral protrusion persisted stubbornly in the right socket. Only then did they realize, the two humanoids now dwelled as cohabitants within a single ocular chamber. Though blind in one eye, Fang Dong perceived the world with keener clarity than even the fully sighted. Henceforth, he rigorously disciplined his conduct, earning such renown for moral excellence throughout the township that villagers lauded him as a paragon of virtue. The historian of the strange relates this tale. A village scholar journeying with two companions espied a young wife riding a donkey ahead in the distance. With rakish audacity he chanted a verse, "Behold a peerless beauty." Turning to his two friends, he urged, "Let us give chase." Spurring their horses, the trio galloped forth in boisterous pursuit. Upon overtaking her, the scholar recoiled in horror. She was his own daughter-in-law. Instantly crimson with shame, he hung his head in wordless mortification. His companions, feigning ignorance of her identity, proceeded to make ribald remarks about her appearance. Stammering in acute embarrassment, the scholar blurted out, "This is my eldest son's wife, oh." The men exchanged furtive smirks, letting the matter end there. Such frivolous souls often court their own humiliation, a truly ludicrous spectacle indeed. As for his blindness wrought by supernatural punishment, this manifested the stern retribution of spirits and deities. What manner of divinity rules Hibiscus City? Could it be an incarnation of the Bodhisattva? Yet consider how that ocular being carved his own passage himself. Though the spirit realm exacts severity, it ever allows mortals the grace to amend their ways.